I'm ArmoredChocobo, and I make video game videos for the internet. And sometimes I'd rather just talk about video games for a little bit. And now is one of those times. I'm pretty sure you're aware of the whole E3 thing, and I want to talk about Nintendo's room elephants. And I'm not talking about elephants in the room. Usually the elephant doesn't belong in there. Nintendo makes elephants to place in rooms so people could talk about them. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. I have a little bit of both, but we're going to start with the good one first. I'm pretty sure every living being that went to E3 is aware of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Or as I would like to call it, the Zelda Scrolls Morrow Wind Waker. And you'll see why. We're just going to look at the trailer a little bit. We're going to look at some gameplay, just a little bit. I know people have spent hours looking at it. I'm probably just going to give you about 15, 20 minutes. And I could talk about that other thing that goes hand in hand with the room elephant that I was talking about. They're sitting next to each other. They kind of come in at the same time in 2017. Just a little spoiler for you. But I need to figure out what I'm going to do. Because OBS is not one of the best things in the world. Just give me a sec to get this running.
Open your eyes.
First thing you can notice about this game, besides the stunning visuals, is voice acting. Now, rumor has it that voice acting is only on that voice you just heard, but I have a feeling it's going to be everybody but Link. Please don't voice Link. You've learned your mistake by now, I hope. Okay, let's pause it a little bit right here. Take a look at this for a moment. Just take this in. You see this castle here in the foreground? And in the courtyard, it's kind of beat up. Well, not kinda, a lot beat up. There's fires going on. It looks like some broken buildings in the background. Some leftover towers. Looks like some kind of damaged castle in the back. Looks like Hyrule isn't having a fun time, is it? Looks like they need a hero. Everything seems to be in ruin and kind of overgrown.
Open your eyes. Wake up, Link.
And of course, this Zelda's different because it's open world. Look at that. Just look at that area right there. That's the beginning area. That's just the step, the plateau, or whatever they call it. That's just the demo area. Of course, you can't get to the castle, but it's not too far away from the beginning area. That's a big zone to start out in, and you're just dropped into it. And of course, there's going to be a lot of walking and a lot of horse riding in this, and using that parasail thing from before. But I hope it keeps it exciting, because Skyrim, I did a lot of walking in that game, and it wasn't all that fun after a while. Of course, you got rock climbing, too. Gotta be careful. There is falling damage. And you can manipulate your environments a little bit. I like the fact that you could use trees as bridges. You could do a little bit of hunting, which Miyamoto didn't like. You could start fires for no good reason. You could actually even use bees' nests and torture those poor things. Man, those guys are the scapegoats of pain, aren't they? I'm gonna love dropping rocks on them, though. And of course, you can manipulate your environment in other magical ways. Oh, and also, there's that weird... Did you see that weird cut? That was a really weird cut. Usually Nintendo's careful about those kinds of things. But I think more importantly, there is this figure right here. Doesn't quite look like Ganon or Ganondorf. Usually he's pig-related when he's Ganon. He's a bit more together and wizardy. This is different. This is like a wraith. What is that? I don't think that's Ganon. I have a feeling they're going to twist on us. I have a feeling that Ganon is not the only bad guy that's in play here. And I think he might be even worse. Maybe we'll see Ganon as some kind of anti-hero, joining up with the hero. It's just an imagination. Alright, let's get past the weird cut, because it kind of messes with the music. And there's going to be way more weapons than just a sword, which I kind of like. Even though they are breakable. Even the swords and shields. So you gotta be careful with your weapons. You got some world mini-bosses. And these environments are important. You need to prepare yourself when you're going to a desert or a cold mountain area. And of course there are dungeons in the game, and mini-dungeons too, called shrines. We'll talk about that a little later. Now this thing right here. Yeah, that thing. They call it the Guardian. But me, it kinda looks more like Goma. You know, the giant spider-like thing, shoots lasers, one eye. Definitely not a weak point, by the way. But, yeah, that feels like it's a proxy of Goma a little bit there. I just wanted to point that out, because that's what it felt like to me. And then we got the Master Sword, sitting in the Link to the Past type setting. Of course, it doesn't have the fancy pedestals Link to the Past, but it does have the God Rays on it. It has the nature growing around it. You'll probably see a few animals, which they're not picturing here. But take a look at that Master Sword. That thing's been sitting there for a while with no one taking care of it. Apparently not even the goddesses, because that thing's usually pristine. That's rusted and chipped, and there's grass growing on it. Something tells me we're not going to be using the Master Sword all that much. And then we also have another Link to the Past thing with the sword going through the title. I have a feeling this game is going to be an amalgamation of several different Zeldas smashed together, like a big celebration of all things Zelda. That's just my imagination. Even though I do place this in a specific timeline, though. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But I have to say, this game is going to do very, very well for itself. Alright, let's get that out of there. Let me go find my other video. Which is I'm just going to run with no volume. It's another thing. It's just some gameplay. Actually, they had... you heard nothing. They interviewed Eiji Onuma, the producer of The Legend of Zelda. And I'm just going to get to this part right here that kind of intrigued me a little bit. I'll just pull it up in just a little second here.
Open your eyes. Open your eyes. Wake up, Link.
So, what Zelda fans could tell me what's wrong with this picture a little bit? I'll give you a little bit of time to think about it. Think about how all the other Zelda games have started. And then take a look at this. Link is usually a little village kid in some town, and then all of a sudden he's thrown into the adventure. This one, it looks like he's been in some kind of stasis. So I'm thinking, this isn't a reincarnation of Link. This is just an old Link that they decided to seal away for a very special reason. And I'm just going to let this run while I talk about a few things like the artwork. We've seen the artwork. We see it right now. It's kind of Wind Waker, but not quite. And also this particular area, very technological for a Legend of Zelda. Eiji Onuma, who is up there in the little corner, right in the middle, is saying that he wanted to incorporate a little bit of technology into this game. And that's why the very first item that you pick up is what's coming up right soon. It's that thing right over there. They call it the Sheikah Slate. And it is pretty much a Hylian iPod. Or iPad. It has a screen on it. It shows you maps. You could use it as binoculars and tag things. You could use it to, once you gain the abilities, you could make bombs out of nothing. You could lift things. You could stop them in time. It's pretty much an iPad with apps. And it's not very Zelda, but I like how they keep the feel of Zelda. We haven't seen something like that before. Usually you get magical items, and this is like an all-in-one thing. And of course Link starts out naked, so he's gonna go and loot some clothes. But back to the artwork a little bit. It looks like Wind Waker, but not quite. It has some of the cell shading shadows things going on. Kind of like a watercolor painting, I guess you would say, but that was a little bit more Skyward Sword, I would say. But, I couldn't take Wind Waker seriously. I played Wind Waker. I couldn't take it all that seriously because of how cartoony everything looked. This looks better to me. This looks, it's not quite as realistic as Twilight Princess, which I also liked, but it has its own sort of feel that I'm really digging, and I can't wait to get my wings on this game. But we got that. We got the destructible weapons, as we saw with the trailer. I could just go on for hours, like everybody can. Look at that. The iPad even has its own, I guess it was Hyrule Pay. You know, you had to pay the door fees. You've seen my Tingle Rosy Rupee Land, or at least people that are familiar with my Let's Plays have seen it. You gotta pay those door demons. And then you're just dropped into this huge environment. I bet everybody's face is Link's face right there. It's like, it's just that look of awe that everybody had when they saw how much they put into the game. Before I go ahead and get into that other thing, I just wanted to add, like, everybody has their assumptions on where Zelda is in the timeline, and it's just, my assumption, personally, I think it's after Zelda 2. Like, in the Fallen Hero timeline, that era of decline things going on. Obviously, Hyrule has declined a lot in this game, because you've got the ruined buildings, everything's moss covered, looks like everything's forgotten except for these very small areas, and they're all hidden underground, and the Master Sword is beat up to heck. There's not a lot of villages, but I think that's because they removed the villages as a spoiler thing, but I wouldn't imagine the villages are very big or advanced. It's been taken over by nature. That speaks era of decline to me. Also, Zelda 1 and 2 were mostly woodland areas anyway, so if they were set in Hyrule, there's not a heck of a lot of civilization going on. That might have just been the limit of the NES, but, you know, I'll take it as something a bit more than the console just couldn't handle having cities. In Zelda 2, there was a kind of a link between Link and Ganon. They needed Link's blood to revive the guy. I wouldn't put it past the Sheikah realizing that Link and Ganon have something going on with each other, and they sealed Link away just in case something bad happens. And they didn't want to wait for him to come back in a different reincarnation. So that explains the whole stasis pod watery thing that Link wakes up for in this one. It would just be the same Link. It wouldn't be a new Link. It would be the old Link that is battle hardened from fighting evil in Zelda 1 and 2. And also, since Aonuma said that he's been taking a lot of stuff from the original Zelda games, so he would also take the hero, wouldn't he? That's just my little assumption. Now for the other thing. Yeah, I want to talk about the console that's supposed to be coming with Breath of the Wild. The NX. Did anybody see the NX at E3? No? How many months do they have left? 9, right? Less than 9, I guess. So, Nintendo. Real talk now. When are we going to see anything about the NX? Microsoft is talking about Project Scorpio and their Xbox S. PlayStation's talking about the Neo. We don't know anything about the NX. We just got a whole bunch of rumors about it's a console, and it could also be a handheld, and it has some kind of funky controller that turned out to be fake. When are we going to hear something? Come on, just throw us some greens here. We would like some Silkus, but we would prefer at least Gishel. Okay? In my own Chocobo parlance. Because we don't even know if it's a console. We don't know if it's an upgrade to the Wii U, like I think it might be. Like, it's a new Wii U under a different name. But it has basically the whole same thing. The only thing I really hope for is that it's retro-compatible. That I could take my Wii U games that I already have, and I could play them on the NX. Because I don't like games sitting around that have no purpose. I already have a closet full of PlayStation 1 games that I don't play. I think I'm good on games that I can't play, period. Because my PlayStation 1 broke. But just give us something. Okay? Thank you. That's all I really have to say on the matter. Because, we're getting just about the 15-minute mark, just right about now. Well, it might be 15 minutes in, like, a few seconds, because I am going to cut some technical stuff out. Good night, folks.